Cristiano Ronaldo has won almost everything: league titles, Champions League trophies, Ballon d'Or awards, more goals than anyone thought possible. Yet one question has followed him for nearly his entire career. What if he never wins the World Cup? And more importantly, what happens if he finally does in 2026? At first, the answer seems simple. Winning the World Cup would give Ronaldo the biggest trophy in football. But the real impact would be much bigger than a medal or a trophy lift. It would change how football history remembers him. Think about Ronaldo's career for a moment. For more than 20 years, he has been one of the most dominant athletes on the planet. He succeeded in England. He succeeded in Spain. He succeeded in Italy. He became Portugal's greatest player ever. He broke records that once seemed impossible to reach. Most players spend their careers chasing one historic achievement. Ronaldo spent his career collecting them. But despite everything he has accomplished, the World Cup remains the one achievement missing from his resume. That matters because the World Cup is different. A Champions League title is incredibly difficult to win. A league title requires consistency over an entire season. But the World Cup is football's biggest stage. It is the tournament watched by billions. It creates moments that live forever. When people think of Pele, they think of World Cups. When people think of Diego Maradona, they think of the 1986 World Cup. When people think of Lionel Messi, many immediately picture him lifting the trophy in Qatar in 2022. The World Cup doesn't just reward great players, it creates football legends. That is why Ronaldo's relationship with the tournament is so fascinating. He has played in multiple World Cups. He has produced unforgettable moments. He has scored on the biggest stage, yet he has never reached the final. Every tournament brought new hope. Every tournament ended with disappointment. Now comes 2026, and it feels different. Not because Ronaldo suddenly became a better player, not because Portugal automatically became favorites. It feels different because this could be his final chance. Sports fans love final chances. There is something powerful about a story reaching its last chapter. A player who has already achieved greatness gets one final opportunity to complete the picture. That is exactly what makes the 2026 World Cup so compelling. If Ronaldo wins it, the story changes instantly. The statistics will stay the same. His goals will not suddenly increase. His previous trophies will not become more valuable. But the way people view his career will change. Because sports are not remembered through numbers alone, they are remembered through stories. Imagine two versions of Ronaldo. In the first version, his career ends exactly as it is today: an unbelievable collection of records, an incredible legacy, but still one missing trophy. In the second version, everything stays the same except for one moment. He lifts the World Cup in 2026. Suddenly, the ending is different, and endings matter a lot. Many of the greatest sporting stories ever told are remembered because of how they finished. The final chapter often becomes the chapter people remember most. For Ronaldo, winning the World Cup would create one of football's greatest endings. Think about the challenge itself. By 2026, Ronaldo will be far older than most players competing in the tournament. Many footballers retire years before reaching that age. Simply making the squad would already be impressive. Playing a major role would be remarkable. Winning the entire tournament would feel almost unbelievable. That is exactly why fans would never forget it. People are naturally drawn to unlikely achievements. The harder something seems, the more memorable it becomes when it happens. A World Cup victory at this stage of Ronaldo's career would feel like the ultimate example of persistence. It would reinforce the image that has followed him for decades. The image of a player who refuses to stop pushing himself, who refuses to stop believing, who refuses to stop chasing one final dream. There is also another important factor: the debate. For years, football fans argued about Ronaldo and Messi. Who was better? Who had the greater career? Who deserves to be called the greatest footballer of all time? The debate filled stadiums, television shows, and social media for more than a decade. Then Messi won the World Cup in 2022. For many people, that victory settled the argument. Not for everyone, but for many. Because the World Cup carried enormous symbolic value. So what happens if Ronaldo wins one too? Would that automatically make him the greatest player ever? Probably not. Football debates rarely end forever. Different fans value different things. Some care about trophies, some care about individual ability, some care about longevity, others care about influence. There is no single answer. But a World Cup would dramatically strengthen Ronaldo's case. Most importantly, it would remove the biggest criticism attached to his legacy. The missing piece would finally be found, and that changes everything. There is also the impact on Portugal. A World Cup would not belong only to Ronaldo, it would belong to an entire nation. Generations of Portuguese fans would remember it for the rest of their lives. Children would grow up hearing stories about that team. The victory would become part of the country's football identity. That is the magic of international football. It creates memories that go beyond the players themselves. It becomes something shared by millions, and that is why the stakes feel so high. The 2026 World Cup is not just another tournament for Ronaldo. It is not just another chance to add a trophy. It is an opportunity to complete one of the greatest careers football has ever seen. Will it happen? Nobody knows. Football has never cared about perfect endings. Sometimes legends get their fairy tale. Sometimes they do not. That uncertainty is what makes the story so powerful. Because right now, even after everything he has already achieved, Cristiano Ronaldo is still chasing something. One final trophy, one final dream, one final chapter. And if he manages to lift the World Cup in 2026, football may not simply remember him as one of the greatest players ever. It may remember him as the man who completed the impossible.